Hello, hello, everyone. You listen to another episode of Let's Talk Sports with Tim McCain, and I am here with James the Pound Brown, mixed martial arts pro fighter. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, brother. So James, my first question to you is: you've had a lot of great battles throughout your mixed martial arts career, amateur, professional. What's the toughest fight that you ever had to faced? What's the toughest opponent you faced?
Uh, well, I had a lot of tough opponents, but my biggest war was with Justin Platero as an amateur, my fourth amateur fight. We went all 3 rounds, and usually that doesn't happen in my fights. Either I finish or I get finished. So yeah, that was a war right there.
Yes, sir. Yes.
He took like everything I was throwing at him, smiled at my face, and kept pushing forward. Man, that was a tough guy right there.
Yes, sir. Yes. So what was your mindset going in? You're giving this guy everything you've got. I mean, what's your mind going through? What are you thinking about when you're like, man, I'm just punching, I'm going in, and he's taking every shot.
Well, me being a striker, that's not a problem because some guys are tough, and you just gotta just give it some time until they start showing you a little bit of how that hurt, a little pain. But he didn't do that. So I just kept pushing, and the problem is trying to beat your gas tank.
Mm.
Uh, your gas tank will run out on you before those guys will give up on you. So uh, it's just about trying to just stay in the fight and not give up, just digging deep and pushing, kind of like you do in the gym when you're having a hard, really tough workout and you're tired, you're fatigued, you're exhausted, but and you still got to go. You can't just quit. You gotta just strive forward and keep pushing.
Yes, sir. Speaking of that gas tank, as a striker, I mean, you probably have to land several shots throughout every round. What's the training regiment like for you? I mean, do you constantly have to run miles almost every day to make sure to keep your body in shape? Like, what's the process like? Because you got to always throw punches. You always got to strike. Like, what's the regiment like to keep your gas tank full so when you go into a fight, you're good to go?
Just a lot of striking, a lot of drilling, and I run, but I wouldn't say really like jogging is gonna help that. Sprints is what's really gonna help that because a fight isn't relaxed or like you just pacing yourself. A fight is very high paced and so I feel like sprints are what really help the cardio and the gas tank for striking. Um, but
Okay.
of course a lot of striking, and a lot of high pace rounds when you're like training on the pads and on the bag and stuff. Um, we like to do circuits and stuff like up downs where you start on the pads and then you grapple, then you come back to the pads and then you grapple, then you come back to the pads. So just doing rounds of intervals of really just really hard stuff.
Wow, I got you. So speaking of, you mentioned earlier you either finish them or you get finished. Why is the pacing for you so fast? Why do you have to knock out your guy? Because I saw some of the fights and I looked at it and I was like, yo, this man's always getting knocking people out. Like, what is it? Why do you love knocking people out? And what's your favorite way of taking somebody out?
All right. Well, actually, when like in my earlier part of my career, I didn't know how to control myself. Like I would push forward and throw strikes and not take my time like I should have. Um, Obviously, I just had my first fight in 2 years, so I've been took a little bit of a break. COVID helped with that, and was working on my game, but I didn't have any patience. I knew if I touch guys, they either get damaged or go to sleep. And when you know stuff like that, and you go in there and you're just like, I just got to touch them, it kind of gets to you, and you tend to rush things and chase for that knockout when you shouldn't. Um, but I would have to say my growth and development. I really feel like I'm a professional fighter now, a professional athlete. And now when I step into that cage, it's like a second home. There's no nervous feeling. I don't feel like the weird feeling anymore that I used to get. Um, and so I can kind of just relax and really show who I am. But I would have to say, any kick that I land on somebody is gonna be my favorite. I haven't really gotten any highlight reel knockouts because of that rushing thing that I do sometimes. Well, I used to do, but my favorite technique I would love to put somebody out with is a kick, any kick, round kick, spinning back kick, spinning heel, anything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, okay, so you say you took time off 2 years. What did you learn in those 2 years that helps you in this recent victory over Luke Staley?
Well, I started working on my jujitsu diligently, my wrestling. Uh, it wasn't I wrestled in high school, so it wasn't like I was lacking, but just not doing it enough. In my jujitsu, I was training out of a taekwondo gym until my second pro fight. Up until
Hmm.
Yeah, after my second pro fight, I joined an MMA gym. And we grappled Wednesdays and Fridays after class, but I was not learning jujitsu.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so these 2 years I took, man, I'm going to jujitsu twice a day when I can, wrestling all the time, just really putting in my work that I should have been putting in years ago to work on my grappling because it was really lacking. And I was decent, don't get me wrong, but and I know my coaches always tells me this doesn't matter when you're going in there with someone who's a purple belt, brown belt. They're like, James, it's just a belt, man. It's a fight. You got to fight. And I'm like, I understand that, but then when we would get to the ground, man, I would freeze up and like forget everything I ever learned and have a brain fart out there. So it it would kind of look like I didn't know how to grapple at all. But it wasn't that. It was a mental thing out there. One mistake can cost you a fight. So I was out there freezing up, looking at my coaches like, what you want me to do?
Mm.
Uh, that can cost you a fight. So yeah, these 2 years I've just been really, really working on my jujitsu and wrestling.
Got you, got you. Speaking of freezing up in the mental, okay, so like when you're in a fight, how much thinking actually goes into it, or do you just go at it or react? Like how much thinking is actually involved?
Most of it is reacting because you've already done put in your hard work in the gym, your game plan, everything should already be there. It should all be reactions.
Okay.
Now when you run into certain situations, which you're gonna run into certain situations, then you have to kind of sit back and think. It may sound weird when you're in a fight and you're saying you're thinking, but it happens within like a split second. All of that stuff runs through your head like so fast.
Mm.
But yeah, so there are times where you gotta sit back and think, um, what do I do from here? But I've been in front of so many different people that most of the time I've already seen it before. And I already know what to do. I'm like, okay, he's trying to stay away from me, kick my legs. So every time he kick my legs, I'm gonna use that to enter my range. Or just stuff like that. He's throwing that right hand heavy. So I'm just every time he throws it, I'm gonna step off to my left and return with my left. Just little stuff like that that you have to pick up on the habits and tendencies of your opponent. It's not really thinking like trying to solve a math problem, but it's uh adapting to the situation and
I got you. I got you. So it's that split second where you can decide, oh, I see where he's doing. Because you see some fighters, they're kind of like pacing themselves. Like in the first round, you see certain fighters and they're trying to figure each other out. They're throwing a few jabs or whatever. Because okay, so like for you, if you had to fight against a fighter who, instead of like going at you 100%, he's very slow. He's just trying to download. How do you fight a guy who's not throwing hands? He's trying to really just study you at first.
oh well that'll be a problem because most people, when they stand in front of me, it's not like anything they've ever seen before. And I don't feel that way, but that's what everybody tells me. James, man, you're like nobody ever sparred or like anybody ever fight. So I think that would be hard. I do have a lot of range. Being 145 pounds, I'm tall for
Yes.
heavyweights. Like I stand in front of anybody and I'm tall,
Mm-hmm.
no matter the weight class. So I can use my range, but I can also pressure and use my range at the same time. So being inactive in front of me isn't gonna be a very fun time. I'm gonna be kicking your legs, jabbing your nose off. Uh, yeah, standing in front of me and trying to take it slow it'll be a short night.
That's good. That's good. I like that. You know, the first thing I noticed about you was your height. I actually was recently at your fight event for Ultimate Battleground 4, and you kind of reminded me, your build reminded me of Thomas Hitman Hearns.
That's funny.
You know what I
Uh,
mean?
Actually, yeah, I've been called Tommy Hearns a few times in my career. It's like, man, you're like Tommy Hearns. Yeah, so I've definitely heard that before.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So how much do you like study boxing? Do you have boxing trainers? And how much boxing do you actually look at and compared to just striking?
Well, yeah, I do have boxing trainers. My coach Dre Hurd is my main boxing trainer, but I also visit local boxing gyms. I do not uh slack in that area. Because when you step into a boxing gym, it's a fight. They put headgear on and they go in there and they fight. So it's a lot different than the way we train. But yeah, we have like excellent boxing history here. We've got really good boxing coaches. And I don't train with all of them, but my boxing coaches have learned from those coaches. And so yeah, I do decent at boxing. I outbox boxers all the time. I've got that range, man. I use my jab pretty well. So yeah, I definitely visit my local boxing gyms and I box around with guys like Andreas Bostic, Chris Hurd, um, who's a guy that'll put you out.
Hmm.
Yeah, just all the boxers in the area, man. We get together and we have like these big sparring sessions, man, just in the ring. Some guys don't want to step out till there's 12 rounds till they get their 12 rounds in. So yeah, I get some decent boxing in with these guys. Guys come in from out of town all the time. Uh, I get to box with them, and I'm just lucky enough to have Derek as my coach, and I get a lot of good work from high level guys that most people wouldn't get a chance to experience.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Speaking of Derek Brunson, when did you become a part of Brunson MMA, and what's your experience been like over there?
After my second pro fight, like I said, I was fighting out of Taekwondo gym until after my second pro fight. I would always go over there and spar with those guys and get some work in with them, but I wasn't like part of their gym. So after my second pro fight, and Derek was like, "Yo, James, man, I see so much potential in you, and I've had enough of you taking these kind of fights, man. I'm taking you under my wing. I don't care what anybody says. You're with me now." And ever since then, I've been going to his gym. I think it's been like 3 years now, 3 4 years now. I've been with Derek, and it's just been wonderful. I've done nothing but improve, and I'm just looking forward to see what else we accomplish here, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, out of all the fight styles, jujitsu, wrestling, taekwondo, boxing, what's your personal favorite?
My favorite used to be kickboxing, but as of now, I'm gonna have to say jujitsu, man. I really fell in love with jujitsu, and I'm learning so fast. I just got my blue belt a few weeks ago, so I'm in
Congratulations.
there training every week, sometimes twice a day. Uh, but yeah, jujitsu, man. I used to dream about striking, and now I fall asleep and dream about jujitsu.
I got you. I got you. So, when was your very first start in the kick game, in the fight game, and did you immediately fall in love with it when you got introduced to
When you say the fight game, do you mean like martial arts or mixed martial arts?
it? Martial arts.
Okay, well, I started martial arts in middle school at the age of 10. My mom was looking for like an extracurricular activity for us, and so she stuck us in ATA Taekwondo, which was kind of like you can pay for your belts kind of a school. I mean, they still did work and stuff, but it was mostly about the money. Um, so I did Taekwondo. I stuck with it. My brothers did football. Uh, so after ATA, I got like to like a blue belt, and then I moved to Champions Mixed Martial Arts, um, which is a Thai uh kickboxing and not Taekwondo. So then I started learning some Thai at like the age of 15.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, um, and that was fun. Different than the Taekwondo, of course. Had to square my stance up a little bit and change some things, but then after the Thai, I switched back to Taekwondo again. Um, and I stuck with that since high school. I've been doing that, and like I said, I did it all the way up until my second pro fight
Wow.
doing Taekwondo, and we were a Hapkido gym also, so I was learning like self defense things. It's kind of like grappling, standing up, a lot of wrist locks and escort maneuvers and stuff like that. But they do have judo in their curriculum. So I learned like a lot of judo there. I've got excellent, I think, excellent judo throws, especially in a gi. Um, but that's just something that I would never do, being I did not have a ground game. Uh,
Mm.
and in mixed martial arts, you don't take it down if you're lacking down there, because guys will expose you quick. As you can tell by my record, guys will expose you. But yeah, so I did the Taekwondo. Once I got out of that, started doing MMA, and I always boxed since I'm gonna have to say since I was doing Taekwondo, I boxed.
Wow.
I was always able to fight. Uh, Growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, I always fought. Always was looked at as, yeah, James can fight. So when I started learning martial arts, it wasn't like I was learning from scratch. I had already had a little bit of flavor in me, a little bit of
Yes,
thought I
sir.
knew what I was doing. I was just a natural striker. So when it came to the striking, it was a little bit, I don't want to say easy, but I would make it look easy. A lot of people always say that, dang, James, you just make it look so easy. And it's not that. It's so instilled in me that it's just literally like effortless. I see so many things that other people don't see. Like,
Wow.
if you're kicking me and you're coming back on your heel and not on your toes, I'm gonna take advantage of that. If you're overextending when you strike, I'm gonna take advantage of that because I'm really tall. Most people are gonna overextend when they're trying to reach me. And being that means they're gonna be coming in straight at me. So of course I'm gonna angle.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just stuff that I do naturally. That when I started learning, it just tightened up my game so much more.
I mean,
But yeah, I literally just like a few years ago really started doing mixed martial arts.
wow. You know what? I think the reason why people say it so effortlessly is because you don't, sometimes with tall fighters, they don't know how to use their reach. So if you have a tall fighter who knows how to use their reach, it's different. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
sir.
So like as a tall fighter, did you know that there was, how did you learn how to use your reach in an effective way that maybe other tall fighters couldn't?
Um, Fighting and sparring with big guys. I'm a really small guy. I weigh 145 pounds, and when you're sparring and fighting those bigger guys, you cannot let them hit you because it hurts so bad, and they will put you to sleep. So that was honestly one way I learned how to just like not get hit. Use your jab, stay long. If they step into your range, you step back out into your range. Every time they step in, you need something in their face. I just fighting those bigger guys really showed me how to stay away from people.
Yes.
Uh, playing cat and mouse. Just stay away from them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if a little kid looked up and they're like, they want to be like James the Pound Brown, what are some of your personal keys of success that you would be willing to give out to somebody who wants to be in jiu-jitsu, who wants to be somebody like you in the future?
Well, I wouldn't want anybody to try to inspire to be like me because of I don't feel successful at the moment. I have a lopsided record. I'm 4-5 at the moment. 1-0 kickboxing. Of course, I've won numerous Taekwondo tournaments, but I would I would have to say that you would have to commit to your dreams early. Um, and you got to stay dedicated. Hard work is the best thing. Talent isn't gonna get you but so far. I've got I've got I got all the way through my amateur career with just talent. 2
Mm,
pro fights with just talent. No hard work. I mean, I still trained, but I didn't have respect for what these guys were out here doing. These guys train like a job. Is 8 hours a day, sometimes 3 times in the gym a day. And that's stuff that I wasn't doing. I was skipping class sometimes, young, still just wanting to have fun, and not putting the work in that I should have. So I would have to say, if you guys want to strive to be like James Brown, you need to get in the gym and you need to work your butt off because hard work beats talent every day of the week.
wow. I got you. I got you. Well, thank you very much, James. When's your next fight? And where can people find you on social media?
I'm hoping for December 5th, maybe my next fight. I think Ultimate Battlegrounds is throwing another event then. But I'm definitely still waiting on Glory. Uh, their next 3 events are like in Europe,
Hmm?
uh, and they're even still having problems throwing those events over there. They were just postponed because I think Bader tested positive for COVID. So they
Mm,
pushed it back to November 7th. Uh, and Derek just hit him up yesterday and see what was going on. He said they don't have anything concrete yet because of the COVID stuff.
wow.
So I'm still just trying to be patient and wait for that because that's where I'm really gonna shine, where I don't have to worry about everybody swimming for my legs. So I'm hoping for early 2021, I'll be out there at Glory. And you guys can reach me on Facebook at James J. Brown or Instagram at the Pound Brown, all one word. And that's all the social platforms I have.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much, James. Everybody, this man, he's a really, really good fighter. I definitely love watching the standing guillotine that he put on Luke. Luke is a good fighter, so what you did to him, that was a really good showing right there.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like I said, I think he just made a mistake, and that's what it was. If he didn't, he was trying to carry me to his corner when he picked me up after that takedown, and that was literally just the one mistake he made. He gave me time to cinch that guillotine up. It could have been a very different fight if he would have just went ahead and dumped me on my head right there. It would have been different.
Yes, sir. But you know what? All it takes is 1 second, and then
Yes,
James the
sir.
Pound Brown, he'll finish it.
Yes, sir. I do my best.